Hello viewers, good morning and happy Wednesday to all. I'm Ron Grant and you're watching 284 Media out of Tortola, British Virgin Islands. Thanks for joining us. As we continue to observe September as Alzheimer's Month, today we look at another angle which is perhaps the most important angle to look at, a caregiver's perspective. Joining us to discuss the effects of Alzheimer's on not only a patient, but a family, as well as how families can help their loved ones, is Mrs. Dawn Carrere-Leonard. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. All this and more after a word from our sponsors.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Mrs. Leonard, thank you so much for taking the time out this morning to have this conversation. Welcome to 284 Media.
Hi, good morning.
Now, before we get into this, I want you to just highlight for
Ron,
us,
I need you to
begin by
speak a
telling
little
us
louder,
about your
please.
family story and how you've been impacted by Alzheimer's through a loved one.
I'm not hearing you, Ron.
Can you hear me now?
It's very low.
All right, so I'll read that question for you again one more time. If you can, begin by telling us about your family's story and how you've been impacted by Alzheimer's through a loved one.
Well, my family's story with Alzheimer's started maybe over 15 years ago when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And needless to say, it was and still is pretty devastating. Alzheimer's is a horrible disease that, in my opinion, it just robs you of your loved one right while they're alive and in front of you. And so it's been a long journey for us with our dad being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
And that's 15 years ago, which is quite a long time. How was the initial
Yeah, it could be a
diagnosis
little longer than
to
15
not only
years
your dad,
ago.
but to your family
Yeah.
as well? How was that experience and how did he take it?
Pardon me?
How was the initial news of the diagnosis? How did your family and your dad take it? What was that experience like?
That was a little complex situation at the time. But when we found out, my dad still had, he still had some cognition, some memory. It wasn't as bad back then. So it was about getting him treatment, keeping his mind active and so forth. Of course, it's a progressive disease, so it has progressed over the years now, but it was very traumatic to learn that he had Alzheimer's disease because until now, there still isn't a cure. So we knew at the time it is a progressive disease and that we would have to be in this with him for the long haul.
In speaking about the progression, when you look back at the initial diagnosis 15 years ago to now, can you speak to how exactly, from a daughter's perspective, how you've seen your dad changed over that period of time?
Yeah, the changes have been significant, both cognitively and physically. My dad, he doesn't know us by name anymore. He doesn't know the grandchildren. It's very difficult to interact with him in what we would consider normal.
Okay.
15 years ago, he still knew my name. He still would call me. Even though sometimes he went in and out, sometimes he wouldn't recognize me, sometimes he would. But for the most part, he did. No, he doesn't recognize me at all. He doesn't speak as often. So when we get little snippets of him saying something, it's really exciting. But yeah, the change has been really drastic, very drastic.
Now that you have been through the experience for some time, what encouragement would you give to other families facing a similar situation or diagnosis?
Right. One of the things I would like to say, and especially being a member of the Alzheimer's Association, is don't ignore the early warning signs. The little lapse of memory here and there, them repeating questions your loved ones, repeating questions that they've asked, or not handling day-to-day functions that they usually, tasks that they usually um, do without thinking. Don't ignore those things, and get treatment and keep them active cognitively as long as you can. um, I've learned that music is a really important aspect of keeping the memory going, and
Okay.
especially when you play music for them that they learned back, when they were younger. It does something magical, and we've noticed it with Daddy, but his disease is pretty advanced now. And what we notice when we play music for him, in terms of music that he knew from a long time ago, it helped. What I like to say is that I saw him come alive. So that's one of the things I would encourage, that don't ignore the early signs, and just try to be there for your loved one, because it does get worse, and it can be difficult and challenging.
Now, for families who need more support and information, what should they do? What advice would you give to them in seeking that support and advice?
Right. Now, within the Alzheimer's Association, we have doctors, we have a support group. Um, and at first, I myself didn't want to join the support group. I think I was in denial for a long time, or I didn't want to confront what was going on. But there is help. Miss Edna Williams with a few others started the Alzheimer's Association, Virgin Islands Alzheimer's Association, a few years ago because of my dad's situation. And I've been running from being a member for a long time, just so I don't have to confront it.
Of course.
But I can't run from it. And persons who have loved ones who they're dealing with it, the association is there to help you. It's there as a resource. And the support group, as I mentioned, I didn't want to join it either in the beginning. I didn't want to talk about it. Actually, the first time I went, I didn't realize that I was so angry about the situation, not having my dad the way he was and just watching him deteriorate. But it did help me to open up and to be more willing to share. And so that, there's an opportunity for others to hear my story or story, and be able to hopefully help their loved ones.
You mentioned about being in denial for a little bit and not wanting to admit, but would you say it's common for families to feel burned out and pretty isolated from others when dealing with the situation? And how should they handle that?
In speaking to persons, it's an individual journey. I do believe that talking about it earlier does help, with coming to terms with it. But you can't force anyone. I have a friend who she's dealing with it with her mom, and I shared my story with her, and I believe that did help. But she's on her own journey, and so people will open up as they feel comfortable, as they feel more inclined to. And so, but one of the things I really do in hindsight, I would say talking about it more. In my family, we don't really talk about it. We just do what we have to do to care for Daddy, but we don't really talk about it. I think it's really still painful. Sometimes it's even difficult to just go and be with him and see him in the condition that he's in right now, and knowing that we can't communicate the way we used to. But it's an individual journey. But I would recommend that, you seek help early, or at least find someone you can talk to, and consider actually joining the support group that the Alzheimer's Association has.
Mrs. Leonard, thank you so much for your time this morning and your candid honesty in sharing about your story. We continue to wish you the best, along with the members of the BVI Alzheimer's Association. By no doubt, I think your sharing your story today will, and we hope that it will help someone or a family that is impacted by Alzheimer's disease. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Viewers, that's all the time we have today. Of course, be sure to check out our website for daily news sites. That's not all the information that we're going to be sharing with you, of course. Myself and my colleague Kyla, we're going to be touching some of the local, regional, and international stories this evening at 6 p.m. On the local scene, some of the topics we're looking at is, of course, 2 additional cases of COVID in the BVI. Premier calls for a retirement plan for legislators. Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital, they received accreditation. And Communications Ministry, they're tackling some $2 million in outstanding invoices. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later today. Have a rest of the good day. Bye-bye.